Sigmund Freud was born in 1856 in the region of Moravia, which today corresponds to the eastern part of the Czech Republic. At the age of 4, he moved with his family to Austria, where he lived until 1938, the year he emigrated to England, passing away the following year. In this video, we will explore the basic concepts of Freud's theory, psychoanalysis. The depth of his theory was so significant for understanding the human mind that the 20th century became known as the Freudian Century. According to Freud, our mental processes occur in a chain-like manner. Nothing in the human mind happens by mere chance or in isolation. Even if certain thoughts or sensations seem to arise spontaneously, there are always hidden connections linking these mental events to previous experiences or situations. Mental life, according to Freud, unfolds continuously, even though we are often unaware of the sequence between our thoughts and feelings. The conscious is the part of the mind that deals with information we are aware of at a given moment. Now, for example, your conscious mind is focused on absorbing this video, trying to establish connections between the new information and what was already known about the subject, while also checking if the sound is at a comfortable volume. The conscious is where intentional attention is focused at a given moment, but it is only the tip of the iceberg, representing a small fraction of our mind. There are other parts of the mind, less exposed, which Freud named the preconscious and unconscious. Music. Imagine the unconscious as the submerged part of an iceberg. There, mental processes occur without ever becoming conscious and cannot be accessed unless under exceptional circumstances. It is in this inaccessible space that information excluded from consciousness, repressed or censored, is stored. Traumatic memories, for example, may be sent to the unconscious and remain there, influencing the individual's mental life even if they are never recalled. Even if you are not clear about what is in the unconscious, whenever a thought or feeling arises without any apparent connection to what you were previously thinking, they are, in fact, related. These links reside in the unconscious since, according to Freud, there are no discontinuities in mental life. The preconscious is a part of the unconscious that can be easily accessed. It is akin to that portion of the iceberg just below the surface of the water, which can be reached with relative ease. It is in the preconscious that memories are stored, such as what you had for breakfast, the name of your aunt's dog, or something you learned in 6th grade geography. These memories reside in the preconscious and can be brought to the surface when needed. Imagine the entire iceberg as a representation of your consciousness, divided into 3 parts. The conscious is the part always above the water, representing a small fraction of the mind. The preconscious is just below the surface, easily accessible, and the unconscious, deeply submerged, is where processes and elements that cannot be directly accessed reside. Some of these elements are drives. When translating Freud's text in this video, we will use the term drive. We are all driven by these drives, which function as internal pressures or needs, directing us toward a specific goal. Each drive is composed of a source, an aim, a pressure, and an object. To better understand this, we can look at the analogy of thirst. Thirst originates from the need for liquids to keep the body hydrated. Its aim is to eliminate that deficiency until the body is fully satisfied, and the pressure is the energy a person uses to meet that demand. The intensity of thirst will determine the amount of effort or energy applied to quench it. The object, in turn, is not limited to the liquid itself, but encompasses all the actions the person takes to satisfy that need, such as getting up, walking to the fridge, choosing what to drink, and finally consuming the liquid. However, this comparison, as useful as it may be, is limited to the physiological. Thirst is a purely physical need, whereas a drive is both psychic and organic, positioned at the boundary between mind and body. Freud organized drives into 2 fundamental categories, the life drive and the death drive. The life drive is the force that moves us toward pleasure, creation, and the accomplishment of projects. It pushes us to build, seek, and grow. The death drive, on the other hand, leads us toward isolation, stagnation, acts of destruction, and eventually death. These 2 forces, both opposing and complementary, coexist within each of us in a constant and unresolved conflict. Most of our thoughts and actions do not arise from just one of these forces, but from a combination of the 2 in varying proportions. Both the life drive and the death drive have their own sources of energy. The energy that fuels the life drive is called libido, a term derived from Latin meaning desire. Libido is the vital force, the energy we invest in everything that preserves and promotes life. When you dedicate yourself to something, whether it's a project or creation, part of your libido is directed toward that effort. Freud also suggested that the death drive has its own source of energy, although he did not assign a specific name to it. Whenever you engage in a project or are deeply involved in a task, a part of your libido is invested in that process. While your attention and enthusiasm remain focused on this activity, the amount of libido directed toward other goals becomes smaller. This doesn't mean that nothing else matters in your life during that time, but rather that it is possible to redistribute different levels of libido among various goals. However, the more involved you are in a particular project, the higher the level of energy invested. This phenomenon can be observed in situations of grief, where the bereaved person withdraws their libido from their usual activities and intensely directs it toward the person they have lost. We conclude the first video in this series, which covered the basic concepts of Freud, psychoanalysis, and its relationship to education. There is much more to explore, and we will continue in the upcoming episodes. Until then, see you in the next video. To wrap up, if you found this content interesting and helpful in understanding a bit more about psychoanalysis and Freud's concepts, don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends. This helps spread knowledge and creates a space where we can discuss more about how the human mind works and its complexities. See you in the next video.